Okay, this video is the Unit 4B solving level 3B practice where we're solving each equation with the quadratic formula. So all we have to do on these is see if our equations start in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. If it's in that form, then we can find our a, our b, and our c. And if we check here, we see that we have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So that means I can find my a, b, and c because it is indeed in this form. So check, it's in that form. And so my a is going to be 5 because that's the front term with the p squared. My b is going to be negative 12 because that's the term with just the single p. And my c is going to be negative 32. Well, don't forget that the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, this part also known as the discriminant, all over 2a. And so now that I have that formula, I can come in and I can plug in my numbers and crank out a number for the quadratic formula. So I'm going to end up with negative b, which is negative 12. See how I have my negative and I put in my negative 12 for b. Make sure you do that with your parentheses. Plus minus the square root of parentheses negative 12 squared minus 4 times a, which is 5, times negative 32, which is my c, all over 2a. And so then you can use a calculator or you can use it by hand and simplify all this. So a negative times a negative is a positive. So I'm going to have 12 plus or minus 12 squared. The square root of that is going to be 144 minus 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times negative 32 is going to be 64 with a 0. All over 2a. Oops, I forgot to put my a in last time, which was 5. So all over 2 times 5 is 10. And so you can simplify this even more, and you can say that this is going to equal 12 plus or minus 144 minus 640 is going to be, well, 10 minus 4 is 6. 3 minus 4 we can't do, so 14 minus 6 is 8. Oops, should be there. Oh, no, I did this wrong. So 10 minus 4 is 6. Then I have a 3. 13 minus 4 is 9. And then 596. And so I have the square root of negative 596 over 10, which is equal to 12 plus or minus. Since my discriminant was negative, I'm going to have imaginary numbers. So I have the square root of 596i over 10. And that is my final answer. And I can leave it like that, or I can simplify it down if I choose to. But I like to leave it like that. Okay, let's take a look at number 3. Number 3, once again, we check and see if it's in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And when I check, I see ax squared, bx, c equals 0. Check. So I can write my a, can write my b, and I can write my c. And so my a is 3, my b is negative 5, and my c is negative 20. And so now I crank it out with my formula. So I have negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so I plug and chug. So I'm going to have negative b, which is negative 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is negative 5, squared, minus 4 times a, which is 3, times c, which is negative 20, all over 2 times 3. And so I get 5, because a negative times a negative, it's positive, plus or minus the square root of 25 minus 4 times 3 is 12, times 20 is 240. So minus a negative 240, all over 6. And so then this becomes 5 plus or minus 25 minus a negative is a positive, so the square root of 265 all over 6. Since my discriminant is positive, I should have 2 reals, so I have no I part this time. And so this is my final answer. Okay, So anytime that you do these problems, you use the quadratic formula in order to plug in and get your solutions very quickly. This is literally check and see if it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. If so, write your a, b, and c, plug and chug. Hopefully that will help you with this problem. Good luck on the rest of the paper.